Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, and the third DX9 Warren Pocket 2-pack brought us Tyrant and Hurricane, joining Plague to complete the Doombringer trio, which is a team name we didn't actually know until, well, the 3-pack came out sometime later. But that's a story for another time, even though I may reference it once or twice or thrice in this review. Tyrant is of the clan Galvatron, leaning hardcore into the Generation 1 end of the family tree, meaning his alt mode is a goofy regal space cannon, and it's alright. I like how much it's tabbed together, and from a frontal view, it's pretty solid looking. Going around the side and back reveals things like robot hands and bits of robot crown, so don't go back there. The colors seem on topic, and I'm very glad the orange cannon is all metallic, though I wish it had been straight up translucent orange plastic. By the way, the two front support stands are ball jointed, though that doesn't really do anything useful in practice. Hurricane brings the Cyclonus factor, and at a glance, I am into his space jet mode. The colors are solid, the shapes are there, and the hands try a little harder than Tyrant's to stay out of sight, while not being able to stay entirely out of sight. But man, the nose cone. It doesn't lock in, it doesn't sit level, and even if you add the weapon underneath it to make it level, I don't know, it makes the whole mode feel wonky in hand. And it's all because the hinge just doesn't have a solid click lock point. Things get even worse, if only slightly worse, if you swivel the robot head around to not be staring out from the jet's underbelly, because then the thing never really comes down all the way. Thank goodness for the Doombringer 3-pack revisions. Tyrant's got a real nice transformation scheme despite his highly abstracted alt mode. The legs unfold at 2 points after untabbing. There's a waist swivel almost entirely just to add that extra dynamic step in the middle of the process, and the head reveal is on point. His cannon parts forms, I don't mind that, but it mounts onto the wrong part of his arm. More on that later. Hurricane has a bog simple transformation with only one fairly clever trick, and that torso slide is something that I really wish worked in the opposite direction or something. Basically, I wish there was a head reveal, rather than the reality of this guy staring at you through the whole journey to his robot mode. When I heard about a friggin' pocket-sized posable Galvatron, my heart became set on getting Tyrant, and he delivers. His body sculpt is great, and he's got iconic details like red pectangles and those vaguely curvy Galva boots. The head sculpt is a little funky, though I didn't think much of that until I saw the Doombringer 3-packs update and went like, oh, this one is a little funky. Also, those gray shoulder spires that attach his arms to his center mass, they droop a little. All the time. It's real sad, and I wonder if it was at least attempted to have them fasten to the torso more solidly. Because as it is, they're relying on some kind of internal thing in the hinge that just ain't happening. Hurricane is the epitome of a mixed bag to me. He looks like Cyclonus, sure. His colors are great. His pelvis and head sculpt work in the armor skirts and skeletal cheek structure of the current IDW comic book design. But his chest looks squashed flat, man. Not quite enough to be a critical flaw, but just enough to make me squint a little at certain viewing angles. But hey, he includes a 3-barreled rifle. It looks the part and finishes him off in the precise way that DX9's Plague was not. Flipping a coin. Tyrant goes first. Poseability on this guy works thusly. When he's in focus, too, his head is on a simple swivel joint, and it's not too hard to move. If you're careful, you can even just use the tips of his crown to move him around, but don't grab him, because then you might bend him up. His shoulders are on ball socket joints, but his shoulder pauldron things, where the whole assemblies are connected, have got this problem. You see how, it looks all nice like this? And it starts to droop a little bit. Let's say he has an accessory on his arm, like a cannon. Now it's always drooping. Generally, I just leave them like that because that's their most neutral position, but clearly they are meant to go up here, and I wish they had, clicked in there or something. If you get some poster putty in there, I guess you could fix it up, or, I don't know, super glue it if you don't need him to transform again. It's a shame, because it messes with the solidity of this guy in hand, having this wiggly bit. Anyway, ball socket shoulders that can go all the way outwards, forwards and backwards. There is a ball socket elbow, which doubles up as a bicep swivel. There is a transformation joint if you really want a double-jointed maneuver, but then you have this thing start moving down. This thing's on a ball socket joint, but that doesn't really mean much for robot mode. There is a waist joint. Also, this cannon Imagine if this was pegged in here so it moved with his forearm and how wonderful that would be, and then let's live in the reality where it's pegged onto the wrong part of his arm. There's a ball socket hip that can do the full Van Damme and kick around a whole bunch. Ball socket knee joint, which doubles as a type of thigh swivel. There is a ball socket ankle, so it's able to tilt a little bit more in the wrong way than the right way. And then forward and backward tippage. You get a little bit of forward and a lot more backward. So this guy is decently posable. Like, he's a fun little mini Galvatron. It's just that these things are so annoying. I wish they had locked in, because I find detracts from the whole experience with this little guy. There's not much to detract from this guy's experience, because his is very simple. Straight up swiveling head, straight up ball socket shoulders, except they can only go out about this far, because there's no cut for length, or for length of arc in there. He's got ball socket elbows, which double as a bicep swivel, which is very simple 90-degree deals. There's a waist joint, thank goodness. Ball socket hips that can do the full splits. Then a straight up hinged knee, which has a double jointed amount of curl due to the transformation. His feet don't really do much useful, like they can tip forward from the transformation, but that's it. Well, I guess they can point forward, they tip backwards. They don't tip forwards in a way that I'd find more useful. This guy has no kind of thigh swivel whatsoever. Everyone else in the line has something that's akin to a thigh swivel, often with a ball socket knee. This guy does not, and he suffers for it. That is fixed on the revision of this guy in the Doombringer set. And thank goodness, because it made this guy, by far, the weakest Warren Pocket toy of the whole line, and that sucked, because I like Cyclonus a lot. He otherwise has, like, this nice amount of solidity to him. He just doesn't have a whole lot of arm range. Galvatron, I think, should have been the one to shine here. You just lie down. It's just these things. And I can't get in there with floor polish, because I'm not even sure precisely what is jointed to what. I guess if I disassembled the guy, I could figure something out, but I haven't felt bothered to. It's very annoying, though, and hopefully that's something that's fixed on the Doombringer set. I guess we'll find out whenever I get my hands on that, which should be soon. DX9's Warren Pocket line hit a sort of hiatus after this third 2-pack came out, and I'm glad, because this set was only barely better than Metalance and Plague. Tyrant is the star, hitting his mark so well that the faults of his cannon placement and droopy shoulders should be things I can look past, but I can't, and part of that lies in the straight-up unfinished-feeling Hurricane figure. This is a great start to a pocket-scale Cyclonus, but the wonky nose cone and entirely absent thigh swivels simply are not up to par with the rest of the line. Certainly, this 2-pack was a necessity to anyone who picked up a Plague back when they came out. The trio do look together, for better and for worse. I spent a while lamenting how almost cool these toys were, but as of this recording, the Doombringer 3-pack has come out, and I am hot to get my hands on it, as it sounds like it may well have fixed several of my issues with all 3 of the Warriors of Chaos. Pocket Chaos. And that means you should look at these 2-packs as developmental build-up stages to that set, rather than products to potentially purchase. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and as of this recording, I am less than a month away from acquiring the Doombringers. So stay tuned, and let's find out together if DX9 truly redeemed the potential of this pocket-scale power trio.